Hi everybody. So I'm going to talk a little bit about crochet hooks and all the different kinds. If you're anything like me, you have lots of little bags to store all of your various tools and projects and things in, and I thought I'd go through some of the differences in the crochet hooks that I've used and then talk about which ones I like the most and why. So these are some of the basic, just the cheaper aluminum crochet hooks. Some of these are ones that I think I got from my grandmother. You can mostly tell, one, based on how worn out they are, and two, because they were actually made in the United States. Some of them, like this one for example, it says size J, it doesn't have a millimeter size on it, and it says USA stamped on the back. This is boy. And then there are some Susan Bates ones that also, these ones have both a letter size and a millimeter size. I don't know why somebody thought it was a good idea to give something that already had a number size a letter also, but here we are in the United States where everything has to have a different measurement for some reason. And then one of the differences between these kinds of hooks, you'll notice, I don't know how close I gotta get to the camera here, but you can see that this one and this one, they're slightly different. This one I think is called an inline hook because the whole head of it is completely straight and the hook is just at the end. It doesn't taper like this one does. I haven't really noticed a whole lot of difference in between using the two of these. I think most of the ones that I have are the tapered style, not the inline hook, but I think it's just really personal preference which one you like better. So this whole case and set is something, it's a combination. I think it came with a set of standard crochet hooks. It also came with a set of Tunisian crochet hooks, which I don't do Tunisian crochet, at least not yet, but they look a lot more like knitting needles. But they're still only one and they have a hook on the end and this long straight needle with the stopper at the end. And from what I understand, Tunisian crocheting is somewhat of a cross between crocheting and knitting. I don't really know, haven't tried it. But so I wanted to say that I got this case on Amazon, I think a couple of years ago. It was around $20 or $30, I think, at the time. And then I've bought some of the other sizes that don't come like in a standard set. So like some of the really tiny like lace hooks. I have a set of those, and this is also an old pack of crochet hooks that I inherited from my grandma. These are boy and I don't know, quite old, and a bunch are all shoved in this little packet here, but you can see that they all have stamped made in the USA on the back of them, so that's how you know they're old. I don't know how old, but older than me anyways. So that's it for some of the basic aluminum crochet hooks, and if you've used these before, there's nothing wrong with them. They're fine, but eventually your hand starts to hurt from holding such a small like thin piece of metal in your hand for hours on end. So I guess I'll go through kind of in order. So some of these are similar but bigger sizes. I have some in here. Let's see what I have. These are some bigger wooden ones, which I haven't actually, I think I bought these on Temu because I was kind of curious, and like they get huge. Like this is, I don't even know, I don't think it actually even says the size on it, but it's gigantic. I don't know what you would even crochet with this except for maybe like those really super chunky blankets or maybe a basket or something. It was mostly out of curiosity that I got them, and probably because they were on Temu, they were super cheap. They do feel a little bit rough and like they would catch on the yarn a lot, which is another reason I haven't really used them. You can also get hooks like this, which are plastic. I think I got this one at Joann Fabrics, maybe Michael. And it doesn't tell you the size. I think I tried to carve it on here. It might be like 19. I'm guessing that would be 19 millimeters, but it's just basic plastic and it doesn't feel that great to use. Not that nice. So these are I think another set of hooks that I got off of Amazon, which, I was sort of in a phase where I was like, collect them all, get all of the sizes. These ones are really big. They're also plastic, I think probably made out of resin or something, and they go, there's only maybe 4 of them, and they go from, I think this is the smallest one, 15 millimeters all the way up to 25 millimeters. I did also notice that these ones were not super awesome quality. They had some sharp edges on them, and I did end up sanding them down at one point. And I also don't know really, like I don't ever crochet anything with a hook this big, so they sit around a lot. But if you have a project in mind, I guess, they have them both on Amazon, I think, and on Temu. I've seen almost the exact same set, which I'll talk about again in a minute here, for probably at least a few dollars cheaper. I don't know. So on that note, this is a set that I bought on Amazon maybe a year or two ago. Probably was like $12 or $13. And then this is a set that I bought on Temu probably like a year ago. and you can see they're almost exactly the same thing. They both say the greatest happiness in life on them, which I guess if you really like crocheting, it brings you the greatest happiness in life. I don't know. I mean, I like it a lot. One, the ink is a little bit darker on the tag, but other than that, they're pretty similar sets, and they come with this little case and some like various bits and bobs in them. Okay, so now I've mixed like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different sets together in here probably. But I usually have like a little case that I take with me in a bag with whatever hooks I'm using for that day or for a couple of projects that I'm doing at once. And then like scissors and stitch markers and counters and things. These hooks they're considered a little bit more ergonomic. I think you can get like a set of 6 or a set of 9, and then they have this nice like rubber grip on them. They're relatively cheap. I think they're like $6 or $8 for a set, maybe up to 12, something like that. And they're the tapered hooks. They're just like a standard kind of aluminum, but they have this nice grip on them. Another style is, I think these ones are modeled after they're like a knockoff of the Clover Armor hooks or something. I don't know how you say it. And the same thing for these red ones. There's a red version of the Clover hooks. And I guess what's so special about the Clover hooks is that they have this nice coating that makes them really smooth to crochet with, which for a very long time I was like, I don't know if I believe this, because I don't see any problem crocheting with like a standard aluminum hook. These ones have a version of the coating, but they're still a knockoff. They're comfortable, they work fine. I don't mind using them. I have at least one set of the red ones, and you know, I quite like them. But I did have to satisfy my curiosity and see, because online I'd seen a lot of people say that the Clover hooks are just like absolutely amazing. They're so smooth going through the yarn, it doesn't catch, it doesn't split, and people really like them. So I went out and I bought one hook, and I think these are like, I bought a 5mm hook because that's a pretty common size, and I think it was like maybe $8 for one hook on Amazon, which is pretty expensive seeing as you can get like a whole kit for, you know, like 10 hooks for $8. And I tried it, and I almost immediately went out and bought the entire set. Because they're pretty, I mean, they're pretty great. Like, whatever it is in the coating, there's some kind of magical material that makes it very smooth and like really pleasant. It makes it faster and easier to crochet with. So in here I have the rest of this set, and I'll talk about that a little bit. Obviously I've taken a couple out and it's tipped over, but this is what it looks like. It's the Clover Amor crochet hook set, and these are, you can get them on Amazon for about, I think it's around $40. Usually if you get them full price at like the craft store like Joann's or Michael's or something, they're around $80 unless you use a coupon. So they do tend to be pretty expensive, and I don't know, I guess I'm assuming, you know, Amazon has issues with like fake stuff being sold as the real thing. I've had that happen with cosmetics and various things in the past, where it like looks almost exactly the same but it's slightly different. I do think that these are the actual Clover hooks. They're made in Japan, and they were only $40 versus like $80 at the store. So the only thing I would say about this is that I was a little bit disappointed with the variation in sizes. Like, there's like, I've never been that specific in the sizes that I needed like a 2.25mm hook, a 2.75mm hook, a 3.5, like usually it's, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, but these, like, so you have like a smaller range of sizes, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, it's, and maybe there are specific projects where it's really particular, but I've never run into it where it's like, I really need that 2.25mm hook size. These are probably the most expensive crochet hooks I've ever purchased. I did not buy a full set. They're $26 a piece, so an entire set would have been $260, and I was just not ready to spend that much money because I didn't know how good they were. These are furl hooks, and I've seen a lot of people really like them. They have some really fancy, pretty wooden ones online. People say they're very comfortable to use, but they break pretty easily, so I was like, well, I don't want to buy an expensive hook and then have it break. And the other thing is that a lot of times they're out of stock on their website. I did see these ones and was tempted enough to buy them because these ones, this is the packaging. They're streamline furls, nice cute little boxes, I guess. Not that you really need a special individual box, I suppose. Maybe if you buy it in a set, they come all in one big box. But they are very fancy looking. They're shiny and ergonomic. There's no rubber or anything. This whole thing is pretty solid metal. They are an inline hook, so they're very straight if you prefer that kind, and they have both the letter and the millimeter size on them. I haven't actually tried doing a whole lot of crocheting with these. I was saving them to show them in the video before I got them all full of fingerprints and everything else. But they do come with it for free. They threw in this handy dandy polishing cloth, which I guess if you want to sit around, I'm not gonna polish my crochet hooks, I don't think, but maybe some people will do that. I don't know. So anyways, yeah, I got a 4mm and a 5mm because those are the two sizes I tend to use the most for projects, and we'll see if they are really worth the money once I get a chance to use them. I'm perfectly happy, like I said, with the clover hooks, and even some of the cheaper ones, you know, like it doesn't make a huge difference. I guess unless you're working with like a really fiddly yarn that tends to split or something, then the nicer hooks can sometimes be a little bit easier. But okay, so one more thing. I have these little pouches that I got, I think probably off Temu, maybe Amazon, I really can't remember. They're actually like the perfect size, I think, for bringing in the car with you. They're really small and portable, and they open up and actually have a decent amount of space. So in here I have like a couple little balls of yarn, cotton yarn, that I'm making pot holders out of. I have this little pouch that has some accessories in it that are super handy. I've got folding scissors, some stitch markers, this little thing, which also you can use to cut yarn, and if you're going on an airplane, these are super handy because nobody's going to give you any trouble with that. And then in here I've got a couple of tapestry needles. Got some metal ones and some plastic ones. The metal ones are way better in my opinion. And then some stitch markers, which come in super handy. So those are pretty much all the things that you'll need. I do have, and there's also some pens in here. If you're working on like a chart pattern or whatever, having pens, if you prefer to do it on paper, I like to have, I got these multicolored pens so that, you know, you can sort of, I like to keep track of how many rows I did in a day, and I mark it off in a different color. Probably not really necessary, but I don't know, I like to keep track like that. And then I just have sort of the hooks that I use kind of regularly. I've got two 5mm hooks, I've got a 4mm hook, and then I've got a couple of smaller ones that are more for like stuffed animals and things like that. I have a 2 and a 3 1/4. And wait, there's more. Oh gosh, I need to clean this out. Obviously, look how many things I'm working on at the same time. This is ridiculous. One for every project that I've probably started in the last 2 months. There's a 3, 2 1/2, and a 4 1/2. But anyways, that's just to say that I can fit like 3 half balls of yarn, all these hooks, this thing all in this little pouch, and then throw it in my purse or throw it, you know, in the car or whatever, take it with me and stay occupied while, you know, somebody else is driving. Yeah, that's my overall thoughts on all the sort of range of crochet hooks out there. I'm sure there are more, but as you can see, I probably have more than I'm ever going to use, so I should, you know, stop buying more hooks.